I'm scared. Do I look scared?
You do actually. You
Okay.
do. You do look.
So-
to me, you
yeah.
do look scared.
Okay. Oh, that's
So,
really cute.
what's your
So
last
what, I'm going to
name?
ask you again. What have I done wrong?
Give me your last
What have I
name.
done wrong?
First of all, you keep interrupting us.
Oh.
The way you're talking to us is so intimidating. In fact, it's actually threatening.
So first of all, I'm scared, and now I'm intimidating.
Today I'm joined by a friend of the show and someone I connected with recently, Sam. Sam, you went to some anti-Israel protests. I don't even call them pro-Palestinian. They're just anti-Israel. That's all it really is. And you went to speak to them and ask them questions. You're obviously very clued up on the conflict, and that's how we connected, because I saw some of the content that you were putting out, and we posted it on JTV. So please do check it out. And I was really taken by your ability to just ask very straightforward, not particularly confrontational questions, just asking people if they know basic facts about the history and what it is that they're supporting. And so I wanted to, instead of just showing some of the other clips that you have, I thought it would be a good idea for us actually to jump on and together and discuss this, look at some of the clips and then get your reaction and your thoughts and see if we can dissect it a little bit. So again, thanks for joining us. And if you're ready, should we just jump into one of the clips that you sent me?
Yes, Ollie, thank you. I appreciate all the compliments. I just wanted to bring some facts that are very little known in these bubbles of ignorance and see how these people reacted. So let's jump straight into it.
Great. So just for a bit of context, everyone. So this was when Sam went to UCL, which is I'm actually an alumni of UCL, I'm afraid to say, but that they were hosting some kind of solidarity, I think, with Columbia University. And I want us to talk a bit about what's been happening on Western campuses. But here you spoke to a teacher, was it?
It seemed like a lecturer, but I'm glad to say that the solidarity encampment was a bit of a failure. I don't think they figured out how to put up any tents. So, yeah.
All right. So let's just look at watch the conversation you had, and then we can have a discussion about it. So here we go.
Asif, Tanya, do you have a minute to talk about Palestine? Yeah? I'm from Columbia University. I've come here in solidarity with the UCL.
Oh, okay.
So what's your name?
Samar.
Samara. My name's Sam. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Kif hala?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so there's obviously a lot of conflict going on around the world. You said you're Palestinian.
Well, yes.
Whereabouts are you from?
I come from an area around Hebron, a village called Dawaime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So-
I had to grow up in Jordan because many of us, our parents have been displaced. So I grew up in Jordan.
When were they displaced?
So my father, he escaped a massacre in Dawaime in 1948, and then he had to live in a refugee camp in Jericho. And then the 1967 war happened, and he was displaced again, and they went to Amman, Jordan. So multiple displacements, which is normal narrative now.
Yeah, it's definitely something we a lot of. So how was the Jordanian occupation of the West Bank for your family? Because obviously that area changed hands a number of times, and your family lived near Hebron, you said. So what was that like, living under the Jordanians, and then you said they had to move again after that ended?
Well, this is a complex history. It's not, it wasn't seen necessarily as an occupation because the Arabs and the Palestinians thought the Arabs were actually together to try and fight the Zionist war and to free the whole land. But then you discover through history and then living that, yes, everyone was complicit.
Complicit in what, sorry?
In the Zionist Israeli project. So pretty much that.
But as a project, Zionism, what's the problem with that concept of Jews having a homeland, as well as the Arabs having a homeland?
So is it a homeland through peace, or is it a homeland through war and occupation? How do you see it?
What's mad? I just have to pause saying what's mad is that there needed to be no war and no occupation if they hadn't said no, we're not accepting a homeland. All the displacement that they complain about occurred when they said we won't accept this partition that the UN proposed. So I just think that's a critical point to make.
It also occurred when conveniently all the surrounding Arab nations decided to attack and tell the
the incumbent Palestinians, flee, you can come back in 2 weeks, this will all be over, the Zionists will be in the Mediterranean Sea by then, and your homes will be safe and sound.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just to say it's all, well, do you mean occupation war? You started it.
Classes
Yeah.
You
occupation.
tell me what the Zionist project is first.
Well,
Why don't you define
the
it?
definition of Zionism?
Yeah, you tell me.
Okay.
What it is.
In my understanding,
No, tell me in reality, because
No,
it's
in-
not necessarily words. Tell me
Okay,
in the past
so in-
75 years
right.
what this Zionist project has looked like.
Okay. Well, I will start with the definition of Zionism as it's supposed to be, and then we'll move on to that. So the definition of Zionism is, I think the word is self-determination of the Jews in
So
their
first of all,
ethnic
I'm
homeland.
not allowing you to broadcast this.
This is in a public area.
I'm not allowing you to broadcast it. If you broadcast it, I will take legal action because you're obviously coming here to manipulate us.
How am I manipulating
Because
you?
your questions are double standard. Your
Like what?
questions-
Which question?
It's obvious what you're doing, okay?
You're welcome to take legal action
I
against
will
me.
not allow
Wanna
you
pause
to
it there?
broadcast.
Yeah.
The questions are double standards because one is occupation, one is not. It's
Exactly.
not occupation when it's Arab colonialism and it's Arab unity.
Yeah.
If you look
Yeah.
up I'm sure Ollie, you'll flash this up on screen for me. But if you look up the flag of Arab unity, that is where the Palestinian flag, the Jordanian flag, the flag of Western Sahara, thousands of miles across the Sahara. This is where this flag comes from. There is no identity attached to this flag other than Arab colonialism and Arab unity, pan-Arabism. So when the
Yeah.
Jordanians occupied the West Bank and when the Egyptians occupied Gaza, in their mind, there was no occupation. It was
Yeah.
just peace. Peace meaning no Jews.
Yeah. I also find it particularly ironic that she's happy to be interviewed and there's nothing, she has no legal grounding to stand on that saying, if you don't want to be interviewed in public, stop being interviewed, walk away. But the second that she starts being pushed a bit to answer uncomfortable questions of her, she says she'll take legal action because it's outrageous. I mean, has there ever been something that epitomizes the Palestinian movement so perfectly?
In fact, she says your questions are double standard, but she asked me the question. She says, what is Zionism? I then give her the exact definition of what Zionism is. And
Yeah.
she then tells me I'm asking double standard questions when I've answered hers.
Right.
Interview is open. And who are you? Give me your name.
أنا سمير. عيلتي
Give
من
me
مصر.
your phone.
عيلتي من مصر.
Why would she need your name? What? I don't get it.
She then starts recording me.
What have you done wrong? Been a Jew?
I think she thinks I'm undercover Mossad.
مش فهمني يا.
What's your
I'm
full
from
name?
here.
What's your full name?
أنا من هنا.
Samir
عيلتي
what?
من مصر.
What's your
عيلتي
full
من
name?
اسكندرية.
Okay, what's your full name? What's your full name?
سمير.
Samir what?
سمير.
Samir what?
What crime have
You're
I
not
committed?
giving me your full
What
name.
crime have I
Why? What's your
committed?
name? What's your name?
His name is Cameraman.
No, what's your name?
It is. That's his
Why
name.
aren't you giving me your names?
Come on.
What have I done wrong?
Why aren't you giving
What have
us
I done?
your names?
What
Are
have
you
I done wrong?
harassing us through pretending?
You
Through
know,
pretending
you are-
to be
you
Egyptian?
are-
Is that what you're doing?
Pretending to be Egyptian.
Give me your
Wow.
last name.
What if I said you were pretending to be
I'm
Palestinian?
Egyptian, she's pretending to be a Palestinian. If you go back in the clip, and when I asked her, are you Palestinian? She says, I'm from Palestine. She goes, well, I'm from Palestine. They don't even believe in the Palestinian identity themselves.
So what do you mean by that?
So return to the start of the clip. This is just
Yeah.
baseless argument now. If
Yeah.
you return to, that's what I wanted to get onto.
Asif, Wad Tanya, do you have a minute to talk about Palestine?
She is from Palestine.
لا بس أنا يعني مش
Okay. Why?
Yeah?
Who?
I'm from Columbia University. I've come here in solidarity with the UCL.
Oh, okay.
So what's your name?
Samar.
Samara. My name's Sam. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. as
كيف
well.
حالك?
الحمد لله. كيفك؟
Okay, so there's obviously a lot of conflict going on around the world. You said you're Palestinian.
Well, yes. I
Whereabouts
come
are you from?
Palestine. I come from an area around Hebron.
If you
a
just
village
pause
called
it there.
Hmm.
If I was to ask you, are you English? Would you say, well, yes, I come from England? Or would you say, yes, I'm English?
Yeah. I hear that.
The identity Palestinian was invented by the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, invented by an Egyptian. Even the keffiyeh, the scarf, is not a Palestinian thing. There is no unique Palestinian culture. It is pan-Arabism and Arab colonialism.
Right. Anyway, let's continue with where we were before.
Opinion. What would you do
Say
then?
it, and then I can.
I
say
wouldn't
it to you
dare
as
say.
well.
I wouldn't dare say that.
What's your last name, Samir?
Ana Samir.
Give me your last name, Samir.
What's your last name?
Give me your last name, Samir. You're the one who approached me,
This
not
is
the
not
other
the way to
around.
act. You're a lecturer.
You approached me,
Yes.
not the other way
In a friendly
around.
manner.
You approached
In a friendly
me.
manner.
No, not
And I was
in a
about to
friendly
answer you. I was
manner,
going to answer your
actually.
question.
Okay.
What have I done
A
wrong?
friendly
Tell me one
manner
thing
would
I've done
say,
wrong.
You tell me your last name.
Tell me what I've done wrong.
Why aren't you telling me your last name?
Because that's not public
Samir?
information.
Yeah, well, you know what? You asked me for my last name, so apparently it's public information. We're in a public space, like you just said. Give me your last name, Samir.
What?
Give me your last name, Samir.
I think we should just pause and state, by the way, the reason why you had to provide a slightly different identity was for journalistic purposes, right? You wanted to go in and not make her assume to gain understanding of her perspective. You had to go in there with a pretense that you don't have a bias or a sympathy for Israel's perspective, right? Because otherwise she probably just wouldn't speak to you. Right, so it was a journalistic.
Well, other than the fact that I come from Columbia University, everything's factual, really. My grandmother's first language was Arabic. She was born and raised in Alexandria, Egypt, and she was kicked out for the simple fact of being Jewish. And this woman here has just accused me of lying about being Egyptian. I would never accuse her of lying about being an Arab. It's an interesting double standard there. Although that's what I'm being accused of.
Yeah. You seem to have quite a good Arabic. Do you? How good is your Arabic?
So my Arabic. So I even said my name is Samir. If you could hear, I said Ana Samir. That came from I went solo traveling in Egypt and Jordan, and I said to someone, my name is Sami, and they go, Samir, which is a Muslim name. So I was like, yeah, Samir, that works. I'll stay below the radar with Samir, much better than Sami. So I went with it. It stuck.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Great.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take? You're gonna
give
take?
me your last
I'm
name,
scared.
Samir.
Do I look scared?
You do actually. You
Okay.
do. You do look.
So-
to me, you
yeah.
do look scared.
Okay. Oh, that's
So,
really cute.
what's your
So
last
I'm gonna
name,
ask you
Samir?
again. What have I done wrong?
Give me your last
What have I
name,
done wrong?
Samir. First of all, you keep interrupting us.
Oh.
The way you're talking to us is so intimidating. In fact, it's actually threatening.
So first of all, I'm scared, and now I'm intimidating.
Yes.
I'm scared, but also intimidating
You're scared to give me your
Let's
last
not
name.
talk about double standards.
Why?
because it's not public
Oh,
information.
really? But our information and our feelings is public, but yours is not.
It's called a human
So
conversation.
for
All I want
us,
is a
it's
human
public.
interaction here.
If
All I
you're
wanted
not
was a
gonna give me your
human
last name,
interaction.
I'm gonna call the UCL security on you right now.
I'm in public property right now.
Are you gonna give me your last name? You're the one who approached me. I have a witness.
Right.
You're the
And
one
what
who
have I done? Have I
approached
touched
me.
you? Have I touched you?
It doesn't have to be touch. Words can be
Words
words
of
and
violence.
What did he tell you? What was the word
He's
that's offensive?
intimidating us, and he keeps.
What's the
I
word?
would really be interested in finding out whether this woman is a lecturer,
And I
because
don't want
you can
them
understand
to
why half
continue
the
this
students
interview,
find
and
words as violence these days.
He's into harassing me and asking me why. What
You
did
can
I do
walk
wrong?
away. I'm not
What?
going to follow. If
And
you
should
walk away,
just
I
tell
won't
me,
follow you.
Sure, I agree to that.
Okay, sure. You
And,
agreed
know.
to that. That's all right?
Go ahead.
That's
I was
okay.
I was in the middle of answering her question, and she
Okay,
didn't like it. I was.
Please don't
You're not
pretend like
you're
you
not
are.
interested.
I'm
That's
recording
all,
just as
okay?
much
Yeah.
as you are
Okay, so
recording.
don't bother
So
about
خلاص.
anything. Just don't
I
bother.
don't know why
okay?
she's
Don't
trying
bother.
to.
Keep
Yeah.
your phone down.
And you still don't want to give.
Sam, so what are some of the big takeaways that you have from that discussion with the UCL seemingly?
I think it's
member
a
of
really
faculty?
it's a real nuance, and it's easily missed when you first listen to the interview. And while I was there, in fact, I even missed it. But when I said, you said you were Palestinian, she says, well, yes, I'm from Palestine. I want to just go back to that analogy I made. If someone asked me if I was English, I wouldn't say, well, yes, I'm from England. I'd say, yes, I'm English, but I'm also Jewish. Which just reiterates the point where Palestinian leaders of the past haven't even denied that the identity of Palestinian is an invention to remove the Jewish connection to the land.
And
The
they've
flag
been
of
very
Palestine,
clear as well
just
that
to
they're
reiterate.
Arabs, right?
Exactly. The flag of Palestine comes from Arab revolts and something called pan-Arabism, Arab unity. They want a caliphate. They want one state that goes all the way. They want the whole world, but it goes all the way from Western Sahara, which shares the exact same flag as the Palestinian flag, thousands of miles away. But we're the colonizers.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's literally the other way around. The Jewish people are indigenous to the land of Judea, the land of Israel, and Arabs come from people that came to occupy it, and we've always said from the birth of the Zionist cause that we're perfectly happy to live alongside Arabs and non-Jews, and there didn't need to be any displacement. But it is the Jewish people's homeland, and if that's a problem for you, if you can't accept that, well then we've had to react to that hostility. Let's have another look at a video you filmed. So this was...
Just to pause there quickly, Ollie, to add to your point. Yeah, the narrative with the whole to counter the whole Zionist movement and 1948 is the Arabs and the Palestinians there at the time, they welcomed the Jews with open arms, and then they were then kicked out of their homes, and then the Zionists occupy their land, which couldn't be further from the truth, really. You think of the Hebron massacres in 1929, almost 20 years before Zionism came to realization. You look at the Farhud, which was inspired and sparked by a Palestinian who fled British Palestine, learned from the best in Nazi Germany, went to Iraq, and then sparked a small-scale genocide against the Jews there. So to say that the Arabs invited the Jews with open arms is just a lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, what do you say to that UCL lady that said that, well, we thought maybe the Jordanians or the Egyptians were sort of there in solidarity with our cause, and they were looking to hopefully get the rest, just annex us only in order, or occupy us only in order to help defeat Israel?
Right. Well, if she sees this video, how many Palestinian immigrants have Jordan taken in? Big fat zero.
Yeah.
They've never been interested in helping the Palestinian people, and there's a reason they're not taking them in as immigrants, because they are completely radicalized as a society. The PLO, Palestinian Authority, Hamas, Al-Quds, all of them have been in children's education for decades, and unfortunately is something that will take decades to root out. Yeah,
absolutely. In some ways, it reminds me of what Jared Kushner, the American Middle East peace negotiator, he said, one of the Saudi officials said to me, he said, I feel sorry for the Palestinians. They have to bear the weight of the Arab world. And I think that's true. I think they feel a sense of they represent the ultimate, showdown between Islam and Judaism, and how is history going to manifest, and what is, will it unfold the way they think? And so they really have to bear the weight of that, and they're just used as these pawns, whereas the rest of the Arab world can sit in comfort throughout the rest of the Middle East. And we're calling it out. We've had enough of it.
So looking at this map, ever since 1948, the Jews have had an independent state, despite the Arabs' best efforts. And there has been many of them. The constant argument is that the Jordanians have always had an eye to create a Palestinian state. They had the West Bank for 20 years. They never did that. That occupation was obviously never illegal in the Arabs' eyes. It was just Arab unity. The Egyptians occupied Gaza for 20 years. That was just Arab unity. And still we have no independent sovereign Palestinian state. And when you look at the Palestinian flag, or the flag of Arab unity, as I would prefer to refer to it as, that's what it was invented for. It was invented for the Arab revolts in the early 20th century. And this flag is what the Palestinian flag is based on, and is also what the Western Sahara flag is based on, which is also not an independent state, but it is an Arab colony 2,000 miles away from where Arabs are indigenous to. That should look familiar to you. It's the identity of Western Sahara is about as legitimate as the identity of Palestine. The Palestinians in the Levant wanted to be referred to as South Syrians. It's all, if you look into Pan-Arabism or the Islamic conquest, they've always wanted what is called Arab unity. They want to have a singular state under Sharia law across the world, essentially, and they almost have that, bar the tiny sliver of blue land, which is a beacon of hope, peace, acceptance, tolerance, and love.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the
And
east coast of the Mediterranean.
Yeah, yeah. And you want us to look at this one as well?
And that this is very relevant. If you look back at those 2 interviews I just had with self-identified Palestinians, they did not see any issue whatsoever with the Jordanian occupation of the West Bank. And this is what would have happened if the Arab conquests into Israel multiple times had been successful. There has never been an eye for a Palestinian state. The identity Palestinian didn't exist in 1948. As I said, it was invented by an Egyptian, Yasser Arafat, with the PLO. This picture sums it up, really.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.